So on the side of the worksheet, we've got some key terms here that we need to understand if we're going to be able to align all these symbols, including page layout, the artboard, which you already have some familiarity with, guidelines, alignment, distribution. Some of these are ones that you've already researched a bit, and then there'll be a few new ones. If you haven't noticed it, off to the left, off of the artboard, right, we've got some symbols that are sitting out there, and I'll tell you about what we're going to do with those in a minute too. So let's just start off with a couple of simple things. Let's just change our name and document title. We know how to do that already. So grab the magnifying glass if you want to zoom in. And let's give this a title that makes sense. So we'll call it Page Layout and Alignment. Oop. Worksheet. And way over on the other side, you can pop in your name as well. So turn the rulers on if you haven't done that already. Worthwhile getting to know some of these shortcut keys. Command R, that little key next to spacebar, and if you tap R, you can turn on the rulers. So there's rulers off, and there's rulers on. The rulers show up, you know, on the top and on the left-hand side. We don't see them on the right, just the top and the left. Okay. We also have some guidelines that are already in this document, okay? And we're going to turn those on, and we can start to then to have, let's start to fill in some of our definitions as we go. The guidelines, if you want to turn them on, under View, you can head under Guides. If you haven't looked at this view menu before about guides, take a moment right now and just look up at the screen. Have a closer look at the section for guides. So under guides, we've got the option to hide the guides, okay? And guidelines, we know, are these little blue invisible or near invisible lines on the screen. So if I hide them, they're going to disappear, okay? Or we can go back and show them again. So head under guides, make sure they're visible. There are a couple of other checkboxes there. There's boxes about locking guides, clearing guides. We are going to be coming back to this one about locking guides and unlocking guides. So take note of where that is, okay? Good, so we've got some guides on. I'm going to suggest to you for this lesson to keep this kind of more authentic learning. Can you turn smart guides off? Okay, lots of you I know are using smart guides. They're pretty handy. They kind of make things magnetic and stick together like little cubes. But kind of for this lesson, that's cheating. Because I'm showing you some kind of manual alignment techniques. So turn off smart guides for me, okay? If you feel like you get behind in the lesson and you're trying to catch up a little bit, turn them back on. Use them a little bit to help you catch up, and then try turning them back off again, okay? Let's check out some definitions here quick. You can see on the left side of the page, right, we've got some options here for some text. So let's talk a little bit quickly about our landscape versus portrait layout. This is one of the definitions you had, right, for the assignment? So who can share with us what a good definition for landscape portrait layout? Okay, so in general here we're talking about, and I encourage you to add these notes in there, we're talking about the page orientation. Okay? Yep, and we can have, as Sadaf suggested there, we can have a more horizontal, okay, which would be equivalent to a landscape layout, or we could have a more vertical layout, which would be considered portrait. Think of a portrait painting or a picture of a person, right? That taller vertical image. Okay? So this layout that we have on this page, what do we have on this page for layout, Tony? What are we using for a page layout and orientation? Tony. What kind of page orientation do we have? Is it landscape or portrait? Yes. Artboard. We chatted a little bit about that, so I think we already know that one. Farah, you know Artboard? Have you looked at that one yet? Okay. Artboard is the white area that's on the screen. So all of this part in the middle is the artboard, and this stuff outside is outside the artboard. Okay? And this is the area in white that defines our page. So let's just add that. I'm going to zoom back in so you can see a little clearer. So the area in white that defines the page. You can edit the artboard later on. Let's say you want to change your page size, that kind of thing. But the orientation of the page and the setup of the artboard, those are key for page alignment. That's the start. Guidelines. So these are lines that appear on screen but do not print out. Okay? These little blue cyan lines that are on here, those are our guidelines. Okay? And we can lock, and we can show or hide guides. And they're really important for doing alignment work. Alignment. We've only got 2 more definitions, and then we're just going to try using some of these tools, and then you can practice a little bit too. So alignment, which is one of the big things we're talking about here, on the same vertical line. Okay, I think the idea you're getting at is a good one. When we talk about alignment, we're talking about the position of objects. Doesn't matter what it is, text, blue boxes, red squares, position of objects in relation to each other. Okay? So we could talk about them being left aligned or right aligned, like we did earlier when we were dancing on our feet. And we can define different alignment positions. So we could have left align like we looked at, we could have center, we could have right align. And Alroy was just suggesting about what about vertical and horizontal alignment? Okay, you know if vertical means upright, horizontal is sideways. So we could have objects aligned both horizontally like we were or even vertically. Okay? Now, alignment is so important in Adobe Illustrator and page layout. And if you think like a magazine or a newspaper layout, it's really intricate. They have some really important tools. And there's a panel, there's an align panel that I'd like you to open up right now. It's under the window menu, okay? So let's go right here under window and open up the align panel. Okay, if you have the align panel open, let me show you a couple of little features on here. One of the key ones that I need you to find right now is up in the right-hand corner. Do you see that extra little menu? I'm not too sure why my cursor isn't showing up. Right up. I'll have to zoom back out. Right here. Do you see that extra little flyout menu in the upper right-hand corner? You need to show the options. We want all of the options available in the align panel for us, okay? So again, in the upper right, show options. Under the options, we have a really important box here called Align To. And we can align objects to each other, which means we align to a selection. And I'm going to show you what all of this looks like in a moment. We can align to a key object. So something that we think is important on the screen, we want it to stay while everything else moves around. Or we can align things to the artboard. When I played that game, and Mr. Tamik says earlier, I was playing with alignment to the artboard. Okay? So Align To is right here in the panel. Take a minute and find that little option. I have this green dot selected. I have the Align panel open. And from the bottom right-hand corner, at the moment, I have Align to Artboard selected. And from Align to Artboard, I'm going to have a look just at these first 3 symbols up here in the Align panel. When I hover over top, and yours will do this too, it will pop up with the name. So there's horizontal left align. Here's horizontal center align. And here's horizontal right align. Perfect. So if I pick up that green ball, I could move it to center or left. You've got a couple of objects here on the screen. Go ahead and grab any one of them, doesn't matter to me. Maybe grab the green box for a minute. Pick it up and try using the Align tool for a minute. Try aligning to the artboard with that object selected, whichever one you want, and practice left, center, right. And when you feel like you're a master of that, you can move across to top, middle, and bottom. If we want to align an object in relation to the artboard, we have to have Artboard selected there, okay? That's important. I'm going to keep that green box that I have up there on screen for a moment. I want us to position a couple of guidelines very quickly, okay? Guidelines. Keep your rulers turned on your document, okay? So I want you to drag from the ruler and position a guide. It doesn't really matter where. I want you to put one guide somewhere in the middle here and another guide somewhere in the middle here, okay? You've already got a couple that are on screen there. And we can have distribution in much the same way that we have our alignment. So we can have distribution both vertically and horizontally. Okay. Or we could have, we will often refer to distribution in terms of whether or not it's equal space between them or unequal. The guidelines that we have on screen here. I'm going to move my green box away for a moment. I'm going to highlight, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 guidelines on the screen. If you don't have 4 guidelines, I encourage you to drag one from the ruler on the top and position a guideline. You should have 1, 2, 3, 4. Select all 4 of those guidelines. Just drag a box and select them. And we are going to distribute these objects vertically. So this time I want you to align to selection. This is really important. We have 4 objects selected. We want to distribute those, not in relation to the artboard, just in relation to each other. Here's how we do the distribution. It's super simple. There's the icon right there. Vertical, distribute, center. And if you look at the little icons, they're trying to give you a hint as to what's going to happen. So if I have the 4 selected, aligned to artboard, and I click vertical, distribute, center, okay? Sorry, aligned to selection. There. Watch on screen again. Do you see the random position of these guides? As soon as I click distribute vertical, here it goes, click. They very quickly snapped into equal distance between. Try that out. Okay, that is distribution. Select all 4 guides. Okay, here's the final part of this worksheet, and I'm going to leave you time to kind of work on this on your own. We do have to putter on our quiz a bit too. So I would like you to take these 4 symbols that I've got here and spend a few minutes practicing and applying some of these alignment tools. So let me demonstrate for you. And if you want to just take a break for a moment, save your worksheet, and kick back and just watch for a moment, do that. And then you could try on the second line. So I'm going to pick up this green box and roughly position it here. Imagine this is one of your completed symbols for your project. How could I quickly align it to that guide? Any suggestions? Quick left align to the selection of the artboard. Selection. So I'm going to select the guide in that green box. I'm going to open up a line and align it to that selection. If I wanted to position this green box in the center of that guideline, I could select those 2 and ask it, this time I'm going to choose something slightly different. Check the screen again. I'm going to align to a key object. Now the key object in this case is my guideline. I don't want it to move. So this time when I click center align, the box moved up in relation. Had I not picked key object and just done selection, this could have happened. The line moved down. Do you see that? I don't want that. I want the line to stay where it is, so I'm going to align to a key object like that one and center it. Now aligning them and getting them all in a row is not the only thing. You have to space them, but we have the distribution stuff. Let's put a few objects here and show what would happen. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 objects. Actually, I'm going to do a little alternating row of these two. If I want a couple more of these, I can just copy and paste. I can quickly align here again, key object. Let's get it centered. Okay. And we can move that object over to the right-hand side here, aligning to the two selections. So key object, I'm keeping that one fixed. Here's where things get really helpful for you. Watch. If you select all 4 here, I'm going to align to a really key object. The key object is going to be the guideline in the middle, and there we go. One click, they're all snapped together. What about distribution? Here we go. Align to these key selected objects, and here's my one-click distribution there. Check it out again, right? We've got them selected, aligned to selection, and I can quickly distribute them. If I tried the same thing on the next row, I want to just point out one final thing here for you. And I'm going to turn on Smart Guides for a moment just to finish things up. Smart Guides are nice because you will feel things kind of automatically want to position themselves a little bit. And very quickly, if I do an align to key object here, and we do a distribution now, there we go. There's a problem. I tried that vertical distribution, and if you had a look at the screen for a sec, I had it distribute them by center, and it's done it. These ones are equal, and so are these ones, but they don't seem to line up. You see what I'm saying here? Vertically here, they're not positioned to each other. Can anybody spot why? Yeah? It has to do with the size of the objects. Because this one is thinner than that one, yes, it distributed them evenly, but it's not properly lined up. So you know what? We could do something very easy. We could pick up those two objects. I like the position of the blue one, so I'm going to say keep that key object, and please distribute the yellow one. Whoops. Distribute the yellow one right underneath it, like that. Once I set that one, if I select the 4 of these again and distribute them out, they very quickly snapped into the right alignment, both vertically and horizontally. Okay. Let's leave it there. You've got some time now to practice for a few minutes, trying some of these out. Try creating a couple of rows of these symbols. You might not finish it all up today, but use that as a bit of practice, okay? And then coming up in maybe about 10 minutes or so, we can try our little practice quiz. It's quite short, and look at the results of that. There's a fair bit there. I'm going to turn on one of the lights and come around and help people out. Okay? Any burning questions at the moment? No, your brain's full. There's a light.